On my mark, get set, let me go. Welcome back from lunch, my friends. Anybody in a nappy mood? If you are, go to your room. Just go to your room. Have a rest. Just have a rest. On another day, that may be where I was. So, 10, 11, and 12. Step 10 says, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. The two words that always speak to me in that step are continued and when. It doesn't say if by some chance somewhere down the road I might happen to be wrong again. It says when it is going to happen. If you are living on planet Earth, living on any kind of edge in your life, instead of wanting to stay in the safe places all the time, you're going to step on people's toes. Things are not going to go the way you want to. There's going to be a win. So don't act so surprised. And don't beat yourself up. It's just what people do. My recovery requires the possibility of limitless expansion. Because I don't know where the end is. I don't know where this program ends. I don't know where it ends. And the practice of this way of life allows me that. Because the practice exposes who I want to be. Fullest, most loving, most human Ellen. That's who I want to be. And this practice allows her to be that. So if I can't or won't do the right thing, the next best thing to do, this is the old me, the next best thing to do is feel really guilty about it. Like somehow balanced the scales. If you felt guilty enough, it didn't make it so bad. Shooting on myself. What I've had to learn in this process is that I never got up one single morning and said, I think I'll screw up my children's lives today. Or I think I'll just blow off what's important today and lay on the sofa and watch Perry Mason all day, because boy, if there was a God, really, that's what I'd do. On my sofa watching Perry Mason. Some of you are just too young. He's always black and white, my Perry. Anyway, there was never a day when I didn't do the best I could do that day. One more time, it's a difference between, what could have and what was. I have had to let myself up. I worked in a school for 25 years, and we had a drama department. Oh, I loved it. Talk about your drama. There was always drama. And our director, once a year, we did a faculty production. And that was more fun than I can tell you to do that. One time he gave me a non-speaking part. He said he would never do that again. It's going to be a speaking part if I'm up there. But when we would wear him out, he would say, oh, get off and let me up. Okay, fine. I'll do that. When I do a written inventory at night, which is probably more about 11 than it is about 10, but I continue to do it at night because I have to check in with my life. My tendency is to go back to the way I used to be, which was beat myself up at night as I put myself to sleep for what I did wrong, what I said wrong, what I didn't do, what I didn't say. And this is another way I've had of keeping my mind straight about that. For some length of time, I wrote like 2 things at night. And I can't remember how I started with it, but it started with 2 things. Now it's more than 2 things, and it takes maybe 10 minutes as I'm getting ready to go to bed, but it's like brushing my teeth. I don't go to bed until I've done it. The first thing I write down at night is the joy. Because wherever I have felt joy that day is where I've allowed God to touch me, where the joy has been. I'll tell you, it started this morning when I walked out on the beach. And I wept. I wept and I laughed down the beach in the wind. I'm so grateful to be on the beach again. So grateful. Such joy to be out there. Oh, it's just lovely. The next thing I write down is a truth. What did I learn today? The only wasted day I have is a day when I didn't learn something. Back in the beginning, it was things about how to program the VCR. Because that was a mystery to me. So that was how I learned how to do that. Score. That's, check that off. And the next thing I write down is the successes I had today, because that's another thing I do, And so I want to keep track of the successes. What did I do today that I didn't have to accomplish anything, but maybe I took a step in a process that I'm in the middle of. Ways that I can keep track of the fact that I'm doing the best life I can do. And the next thing is called for my body and my soul. When I get up in the morning, I have meditation. I have a walk every morning, unless there's lightning or ice. And then I turn on the Wii, and I get on my board, and I do it on the board. But that's when I pray, is when I'm out walking, and I pray the steps, because that's what Marcy taught us to do. You start at step 1. What am I powerless over today? What is the issue du jour? What is it? And then I can get to step 2 and recognize that God can and will and does and is restoring me to sanity right this second. And I walk my way through the steps. Hopefully I'm up to step 10 by the time I get through walking, because the rest of it really requires time in my room. I write down the miracles where I saw God at work. God is at work every day around me, and I lose sight of that. So where were the things that happened in people's lives? A couple of things happened this morning after I talked the first time. A couple of people who came up to talk to me, and I thought, how did this happen? How did this happen that I ended up in the room with them at this time? God at work. And I write down that's how I started doing this. I wrote down my feelings every day, because I was so out of touch with my feelings, my sig feels. I'd write down my one significant feeling of the day. Was it a down day or an up day? Was I happy today? Was I scared today? What was the main feeling today? Because I have this sense that if it's horrible today, it's always been horrible, and it always will be. It's never going to get any better. Truth of the matter is, it never stays bad for more than about 3 days. But I didn't know that till I started keeping track. We were talking about Tom Ivester at lunchtime, and he was always one of my heroes. I just adore Tom Ivester. I never saw a more dedicated person, more loving man, great sense of humor. And I do my Tom I at night. My Tom I is really my tomorrow's intention. Rather than beating myself up, my sponsor used to say, the committee in your head never sleeps. Whatever you put in there at night, it works on all night long. And that's when it wakes you up in the morning and goes, good morning. This is going to be quite the day. Do you know where he is? You get those tight little headaches from that. But my intention tomorrow, what is my intention tomorrow? That's what I'd rather go to sleep with than leave the committee with I don't watch the news. I don't think it's news, for one thing, but I don't watch that stuff. After about 8 o'clock at night, I need like Golden Girls, And I have a 22-year-old grandson who loves the Golden Girls. We'll just watch them. We'll just watch them together and laugh like we haven't seen that part before. And the last thing I write down, 2 springs ago, maybe a year after Dick died, my sponsor, whose husband died in 2009, they were together 60 years. And she adored him. She adores him to this day, and I'm sure he adores her to this day, too. But she said, you know what I was thinking? She said, I was thinking, gosh, I'm not number 1 in anybody's life anymore. I'm like, what? Why would you say that to me? That just breaks my heart. She said, no. Every time you have something that big, there's something to celebrate here. She said, what do we celebrate? She said, I'm celebrating that I ever was number 1 in anybody's life. A lot of people go through this world and they don't get that opportunity, but we were number 1 in somebody's life. And she says, the other thing she encouraged me to do was to find something during the day that I savored, something that I spent the time with, whether it was a meal or a person. Lots of times for me it's a meditation, that I got to stay in the meditation all I wanted to stay in there, and I just savored that. I look at that and I think, God, I had a real full life today. This day was as full as it could possibly be. What a great day. Thank you, God, for this day. Whatever happened this day. Step 11 says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. I got to tell you, first off, I don't pray for understanding of God's will for me anymore. I don't need to understand it. I just need the willingness to do whatever it is He wants me to do, and I don't have to understand. I don't have to know it. I don't even have to know that's what I did. So I ask God in the morning, I want to be where you want me to be. I want to say what you want me to say. I want to do what you want me to do, and I know what that is you want me to love Him. You just want me to love Him. That's it. I've searched, I didn't realize this until I'd been in Al-Anon a little bit, yet I have searched for God my whole life. My whole life I've been searching for God. I just thought that the anchoring, validating, unconditionally loving, eternal relationship that I was looking for was going to be with Him. I put that all on a Him to be what it is only God could be for me. That is looking for love in all the wrong places, by the way. My default is to live my life by rules. I have rules. I had a woman in our meeting Monday night. She was talking about, happens to be a cross-dresser, and she said it wasn't until she came to Al-Anon that she realized she lived with the book of laws in her head. She had a book of laws. And by God, that's the way you were supposed to be, whatever the book of laws was. Those are the rules. I had rules. I was given some rules. Some of them I think I made up myself. The problem with the rules is they're like rabbits. There's always more rules. Because when those rules aren't enough, you have to have like 1B, and 12C to cover what that didn't cover up there. And what I ended up with was legislating my life instead of living it. Because living it is messy. Experiencing it is messy. I want there to be order equals control. Yet another place. I just need there to be order. Then there got to be, life. People say, oh, God never gives you more than you can handle. That's poop. I think life gives you more than you can handle, and life gives you everything in 2 tablespoons more, or why would I need God? I'll just handle it myself, which is really the way I was living my life in a long time in recovery, thinking that now I'm going to get this under control and this under control, and I'm going to be, thank you God, that's enough. I don't need your help anymore. I'll just do it myself. That's messy too. That's very big. So then comes cancer, divorce, more alcoholism, dating as opposed to hunting. The love of my life, lots of babies, great joy, drug addiction, suicide, death, grief, new life, more babies. Always questions and gaps. What I've needed every step of the way, what I've needed, somebody was, where did I hear that? Oh, it must have been Bobby last night saying it. I've always needed a bigger God. The God I have today is not going to work for the problems that come up next week. If I could conceive of God, God would not have enough power to do what needs to be done here. So I won't understand it, but I need God to be bigger. The way acceptance has sounded, I said what I want is, Clint Hodges used to say, thank you, God, for everything exactly as it is. And he always added, I wouldn't change a thing. I don't say that anymore because there's stuff I would change. And if there's stuff I would change, I need to get busy and do those places where I can do what I need to do. But I understand that everything is exactly the way it needs to be right this minute. And what acceptance has sounded like the last couple of years is, okay. And it's the way God has gotten bigger. Okay. Even this God, even her God, even him God, even now God. I have got to have a God big enough that in your world, somewhere, somehow, this makes some kind of sense. Because this is what's happening. And so even this I give you. Even now I give you. there's a line. See, I thought this was in the big book. I made myself crazy looking for it. And it turns out that it was a AA newspaper in Texas somewhere that wrote it. And so you might not know this. This might be something new, but I doubt it. It says, in order to form a habit of depending upon and referring all we do to this power, we must first apply ourselves with some diligence, but repetition confirms and strengthens, and faith follows naturally. That's my experience. As I go through these things and I look to God, not to what did I do, I look to where is there God in this? My friend Kathy Heekin always says, where is God in this? She was diagnosed with breast cancer. Where is God in this? Mine says, when something happens, where is God in this? I'm going to look for God. And then it's going to be, how could I allow more God to be here? What would I have to let go of so God could move in here? And then the last part these days ends up being, how could I put more God into this? How could I actually be more of what God would have in this? How can I bring that to this instead of waiting for somebody out there to solve it for me? How can I bring that to that? I just love this. I don't know that it fits in anywhere, but I love it. It says, doubts are the ants in the pants of faith. That's actually a real life quote. Somebody really smart said that. He said they keep it awake and moving. These people who say you can't have doubt and faith at the same time, no, absolutely you can. Absolutely you can. Faith is very different from belief. It's very different from trust. Faith is more about what I hope for, you know, and we're offered that we can share what we hope for, our experience, our strength, and our hopes. My relationship with God requires regular prayer and meditation. A guy in my group says, find something that stirs your affection for God and sit there. Sit there in that place. I wanted to meditate the whole time I've been in Al-Anon. I took classes, I read books, because of course there was a right way and a wrong way. Always looking for the right way, I am. Yep. Turns out, nope, it's like everything else. I wanted you to find sanity for me so I'd know whether or not I was sane. I wanted you to define meditation. I want you to define these words. I will do them. I will do that. That's what Al-Anons do. We will do that. You tell me what part of the relationship you'll do, I'll do all the rest. I'll make it look like a real marriage, even if it's not, but I'll do that. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and it just didn't happen until 2009 when I had what she called my own version of a nervous breakdown. And it was God had been preparing me with all those attempts at meditation along the way, that I had enough in place that I couldn't sleep, I couldn't do much of anything, but I could sit for 5 minutes on the couch, and it was the only peace I got was those 5 minutes. And it didn't last. The worst part of that thing only lasted about 2 weeks, but it was a year from beginning to end. And the thing about meditation is that it develops a life of its own. Because once you start it, once it has become part of what I do every day, I can't not do it. I couldn't not do that any more than not brush my teeth. Yesterday I had to get up early enough, had to make some adjustments so I could get a ride to the airport and not have to take my car and park it all the weekend long, which I didn't want to do. And so it meant I had to be ready to leave the house at 7:15. Ugh, well, that's so early. I had to get a walk-in. I got a 30-minute walk-in. And then I decided, I'll know what you're going to do. You got a 3.5-hour flight. There's a wonderful app called Insight Timer. And it will time your meditation or whatever it is you're doing. And I love that. It tells me how many days in a row I've done it. I covet that. I do. That's not probably very spiritual, but I covet all the days. We don't want to miss a day, not a single day. No. It's like your sobriety. That's my serenity. And I waited till we were off the ground, and then I plugged in and put my earplugs in my ear, and I sat back. And the next thing I knew, we were going through the turbulence. And I said, let's see how you can sit in the turbulence. And that wasn't too bad for a while. The next thing I knew, he said, we were beginning our descent. I had the loveliest time up in the clouds yesterday. I really, really did. It was divine, just divine. I have a good friend, an AA friend at home. He's really not a cross-dresser. He dresses like us, what can I tell you? Who has supported that with me. He supported me in '09 when I was going through it. He talked to me a little bit. So every once in a while we go out to lunch and he goes, "How's it going?" And I'll tell him how it's going, and he'll go, "Oh, that's so good." And we're just here to cheer each other on, and that's what he does for me. He just cheers me on. I started to text him yesterday and say, "Oh man, I wish you'd been in the clouds with me. It was so..." No, Ellen, just be quiet. Move on. We have a friend in our group who has told us the prayer that never fails. God, you know the circumstances. We just ask for your love and grace. It never fails. I have learned in here to pray from the possibility of God at work rather than the challenge I see for me or for whatever human I'm praying for. The possibility of how God will work that out instead of, "Oh my God, please give them money, please send them, whatever it is, make them well." I don't know if they need to be well or not. I don't know. Al-Anon is the only place I know where we have to remind each other to breathe. We tend to hold our breath. We tend to breathe in those shallow little breaths that people, that if you're being chased by a wild animal, you breathe in. That tends to be us. Sometimes somebody will say in the meeting, "Just breathe," and the whole room will go, "Oh, so good." Air. But we forget to breathe. Turns out, in a lot of meditations, they tell you focus on your breath. Focus on your breath. It's the most automatic, as automatic as your heartbeat, but just pay attention to your breath. The first name of God that's in the Bible that we pronounce Yahweh, really and truly, the way it was pronounced was a breath. That was the way it was pronounced. It's breath. It's breath. The breath of life, the breath of God. Anne Lamott says that laughter is carbonated holiness. And last night, Bobby said, "I love the sound of laughter in the AA rooms." Oh, I cherish that. My Wednesday night group, when we get together, we do our little book study, and then we do a prayer time. And if we've laughed our fannies off most of that night, we know we've been with God already, The thing about the laughter in these rooms is, if you hear people laughing about stuff here that you don't think is funny, keep coming back. Keep coming back, because you can't laugh about something that hasn't been healed. But if it's been healed for one of us, it can be healed for all of us. Laughter is such a gift. Even ha is a God sound. My sponsor, Marcia, used to tell me this all the time. She said, God's desire to express through you, as you, is so great that the result is always this or something better. I never get all the misery I could have earned. I never lose the stuff that I'm willing to focus on, and God allows me this much and that much and more. And God prepares me in 2013 for getting the boys to live with us. The boys, my grandsons, my 4 youngest grandsons, my son had 2 daughters, and my daughter had those 2 boys, and they had them within 3 years of each other. And the way they told me they were pregnant, "Oh, Mom, we need you to quit your job. We're getting ready to have a baby. We need you to quit your job, stay home, take care of the baby." And Dick would go, No, we need your income. Now, he made 5 times what I made, but I recognize fear of financial insecurity when I see it. And so I said, "No, I wish I could, but I can't." The deal was, I'd been at my job 20 years, and I didn't like it anymore. I didn't feel like I was serving a purpose there. And I would tell God every morning, I'd say, "God, if you need me here, if there's something I can do here, I'll stay here. But know that my bags are packed. I'm ready to leave as soon as you're ready for me to go. But I hadn't gotten the word yet. So I went out to California to talk, and Dick loved to drive, so he drove out to California to meet me. And this was so long ago that we still had tapes. And he had a set of Clint's tapes, and he was listening to Clint Hodges talk. And someone asked Clint, exactly how much money do you have to have so you don't feel financially insecure? And Clint said, well, I guess just enough so I wouldn't have to trust God. Dick heard that, and he was like, oh, no. And I called my son that night, and I could hear my daughter-in-law crying in the background. The baby was already here. They had had her at daycare for a month, and she said, if I tell you one more horrible thing that's happened, then will you quit your job and stay home? And I told my husband, I said, you know, I wasn't present for my kids when I was growing up. I really want to be present for them now. I could do this for them now. And there's nothing I would rather do than keep babies. And he had heard Clint, and he went, okay. So I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I opened my little business called Mom's Better Babies, affordable daycare for your priceless children. But the only ones I'll keep are my grandchildren, so don't ask. And I got Madison. The day I got Madison, she was the one who was already born. She was to the day the age the twins were, the day I gave them up. God didn't miss a beat. That was in August, and in December Tristan was born, and I got Tristan when he was 3 weeks old. And 14 months later, Kennedy was born, and I got her at 4 weeks. And 7 months later, Sutton was born, and I got him at 2 months. And I had the best job any human ever made. Now, you cannot make any money like that. Do not think. It costs money, actually. But you know what happened? My husband made twice as much money the next year as he'd ever made before. We had no idea that was going to happen. But God was providing as we went along. I've taken the kids since the boys were 4 and 6. I've taken them every summer with us to the Crested Butte Mountain Conference. I cannot keep alcoholism from happening in their lives, and I know it will. I can't keep it from happening, but maybe, just maybe, I can get them close enough to the words, to the people, to the ideas, so that when it happens, they won't have to wait so long to get help. Maybe. But it's what I can do. My granddaughter wants to come back and bring both of her babies, so we're going to stay a little longer this next summer so she can come and bring the babies and get them some of the feel up there. The boys come every year. 2 years ago, Tristan was the Alateen speaker, and this last year, and Lee's daughter was the speaker, maybe 3 years ago. Anyway, that has been such a progression of my children. One day, this wonderful alcoholic in Dallas died, and I just love that guy. I love his wife, love that whole thing. We went to his service. It was huge. It was like a reunion. You know, he'd been sober forever, and everybody was there. Man, we were laughing and carrying on and slapping each other on the back, and I think we were like the last people to leave. And Melissa was alive, and she had told me to take the boys. She wanted them to see what happened when a great AA died. And so we were leaving the service, and I said, golly days, I don't know when I've had so much fun. And Tristan said, Meme, you can't spell funeral without fun. That's my boy. That's what I'm raising him to be, a fun boy. I've discovered in this last almost 3 years that gratitude is a basic element in my belief in God. Basic. I don't wait for God to do something to be grateful. I have so much to be grateful for already. I start off grateful. And it's amazing when you start off like that, you get more to be grateful for and more to be grateful for. Of course, I'm grateful for things I never thought I'd be grateful for. We got new carpet in my bedroom and in Sutton's bedroom, and it's white. I know, white. We have 2 little dogs who can't tell that it's white. One of them, who just 3 times already has looked at me and gone, right There on the carpet. I am so grateful they make this stuff called nature's whatever it is that you just spray on the carpet. Thank you, God, that is wonderful. Removes the scent and everything. Spray the dog. What adults do is adults grieve. Adults grieve almost every day, because every day almost we are asked to give up one more thing, one more old idea, one more... I don't know about you, but I look in the mirror sometimes and I go, wow, what happened to that other girl? This does not look like me still. Because your spirit doesn't age, for one thing. Your spirit just stays pretty much the same age all the time. But I'm surprised. I have to give up my idea of what I look like on almost a daily basis, because this ain't it. Not in my head. This ain't it. She's not bad. I tell her that on a regular basis. You're actually kind of cute for an old lady. You are kind of cute. And the other thing I tell myself is, I hope you like this, because this is the cutest you're ever going to be. This is as good as it's going to get from here on out, girlie. I have learned so much about grief. When my mom died in '94, she died after a three-week illness. We went down there and stayed for a couple of weeks. We're driving back to San Antonio. To Dallas, and I'm crying. And my husband said, "Don't you think you ought to be over that by now?" Now, that's a man thing. Not all men, but that's some men who cannot stand to see us in pain. And he thought it was his place to try to fix me. And he thought I ought to be over that. And I heard myself say, you know what, honey, I don't ever want to push life away from me again. I want to live life to the fullest. I don't want to miss 1 second of it. And if it's time to grieve, I want to grieve. I want to grieve all there is to grieve. I don't want to get up 3 years, 4 years from now and something happens and I fall apart, because I didn't do all the grieving I need to do right now. I've learned about grief that you will get through it, because everything has a beginning and a middle and an end. Every day, every relationship, every book, everything has a beginning and a middle and an end. You will get through it. I may never get over it, but I will get through it. And that's what I'm promised, because my sponsor promised me when I talked to her every day while Dick was sick, and she'd say, it's hollowing out a place in you. It's hollowing out a place of you. And that's what grief does. When I have to give all of those hopes and dreams, all of those ideas about him, us, up, it hollows out a place in me. But there comes this God we have who fills that with such joy. Such joy. That's me weeping on the beach this morning. Who does that? I love the beach, but I've never gone, oh, it's so beautiful on the beach. That was me this morning, having the time of my life. Having the time of my life out there. It's my Mason Taylor Rodriguez, my little great-grandson. There's nothing little about him. He's my rainbow boy. I just adore that little boy. I've loved babies my whole life, but I tell you, there's something about Mason that I've not had before. They came over last Sunday, and I heard the car door slam, so I walked out. They live an hour away from us, so I don't see them. We have to really make an effort to see each other. I walked out to see him, and I could hear his mom saying, she's coming, it's okay, just let me get you out of the car seat, And she got him out, and he put him on the driveway, and he's coming toward me, and he's going, he weighs 35 pounds. I just brace myself and hoist him up. And he throws his head on my shoulder and he just pats my back. He's so happy. We're so happy to see each other. We're both just beside ourselves. We're so happy. God forbid I should pick up his baby brother. I did it this last time, and you could hear him all over the house. He takes off. He leaves the room. He can't stand it. It just kills him to see me do that. Please, buddy, get over it. There was a thing I've done. People will give you books when you go through something like that. When somebody you love dies, they give you books to read. And a lot of the books I went, thank you. A couple of them I knew that one was for me and that one was for me. And one of them talked about grief and marriage, and it said grief is as much a part of a marriage as the wedding vows. And the fact is, it's as much part of any relationship. as the commitment to be in the relationship, because something will die. The person will die, the relationship will die, something will die. It isn't bad luck. Mama used to act like it was bad luck when people died. You know, you don't want to talk about that because that's just bad luck. But no, it's what happens. Grief is unavoidable. And in alcoholism, it leaves mourners in its wake. I've discovered that if I don't allow the transforming power of God into this grief, I will transmit it rather than healing. And I want to be able to have experience, strength, and hope for the next people who come along, because there are others. There was one this morning. Last place I spoke, there was another one whose daughters had died or committed suicide. And, you know, I can stand there and say, I totally understand, and I'm so sorry you have to go through this. But there is a place for us, and there was nothing wasted. We're not missing anything. Oh, this is so good. I'm so happy with me. In this time of grief has been my first inkling of real life compassion. Because compassion has to start with self-compassion. I have to be able to accept myself and love myself and recognize that myself is doing the best job it can do today. And it's human. And it is not a defect of character to be human. Human is fabulous. What were the odds that there would be such creatures as us? How did that happen? Divine intervention, I suspect, but this is a wonderful thing to be human. Very, you know, I don't think this happens a lot out there in the whatever happens out there, but I don't think there's a lot like us. I think this life we're living is awesome, just awesome. And there are no other creatures with the capacity we have for awe and wonder. Anne Lamott says there are 3 prayers. There's help, thanks, and wow. And I think it was Tom who used to say he thought that wow was the best. That was the best prayer of all. Wow, God, how did you do that? How did you... Watching those waves this morning and the wind blowing across the top of those waves, God, it's just fabulous. That's the life. I'm living that life, and I forget some days because I'm too tired. I gotta go to rest. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, that's what we call halt. I, of course, I've changed it just a little, but you know I am. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I call mine halts plus, halts period. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick, or having a period. Because, or not having one. Because that will also do the same thing to you. It just makes your whole perspective has gone askew now. I'd been a widow a little while, and I did not like the term widowed because it felt like I'd been victimized. Okay, well, married woman or widow. I can be a widow. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's been a widow longer than I have, and I was telling her something that was going on with me, and I said, I just got to tell you, this kind of freaks me out. And I need to tell somebody, so I'm going to tell you. And she said, oh, that's widow brain. You'll get over it in about 1.5 years. Well, thank God. Why are these people out there with all this information the rest of us need? I don't get that. So I started a group. We're all in program. We call ourselves the Now Whats. Because we don't know what's going to happen now. Now what? Now where do we go? What do we do? And we're all widows. We meet once a month. And we talk. We act like Alateens. We share our rose, our bud, and our thorn. And inevitably somebody will say, you know, this is happening and this is happening, and somebody else can say, it's okay. That's okay. I had the same experience. It's okay. Because it felt like I was out there on a trail by myself, you know. And there's a Now What that has started in some place I was speaking this last year. They went, oh, we're going to do that. I think there's like 2 more of them now. But, you know, that's what the program has offered me, the chance to bond together with those people and be there. Somebody else said, well, you know, I think I'm getting better with this. I think I'm through this, not over it, but through this, so I don't think I'll come to the meetings. And I said, you don't have to, but, and I'm a lot better than I was, but I want to be there for the next one when she comes, because there will be another one. There will be another one. We've had 3 new ones this year. I read something some years ago. I wish I remembered where I got it from, but I do remember that it wasn't conference approved. And it said, divine restoration, divine fulfillment is taking place now. And I went, wow, I don't even think they know about the steps. Divine restoration, which is the hope of step 2. Divine fulfillment, which is the promise of step 12, is taking place now. And every time I'm in the room with you, I get so excited because I know it's happening in this room right now. Divine restoration and divine fulfillment are taking place in here. And when I found that little piece of paper kind of just fell out of a folder I picked up. I got into a nesting thing right after Dick died, you know. This little piece of paper fell out, and I went, wow. And then because I still had some fear about what's going to happen next. I don't even know I don't know what to do. My money is cut in half. My income is in half now. What do I? And I got 2 boys. Turns out God's taking care of all of that. And I realized that what is the next line for me is divine restoration, divine fulfillment are taking place now, here. I can love what comes. I can love what comes. My sponsor used to say, my expectations are from God. Come on, something. Come on, something. There was something else, but it's gone now. I guess you're not supposed to hear. Oh, I know what it was. I am going to tell you. In that same folder, and I don't know what that folder was about, because I don't know why it was stuck where it was stuck and why I picked it up and why that stuff fell up, but in there was an accounting I'd written. When Marcy died, Marcy used to do this. She started this great thing at conferences where she would do God as I Understand Him on Sunday morning. And people were supposed to get up and share about how God had affected their lives that weekend at that retreat or conference or whatever they were doing. And she did it. She started the first woman-to-woman meeting, first woman-to-woman's conference was Marcy's idea. There's hundreds of them now, which I find fabulous. And she did that on Sunday morning at the woman-to-woman. And when Marcy died, the board looked at me and they said, you'll be doing that now. Oh, I don't think so. That's Marcy's. I couldn't possibly do that. And I resisted. It's Saturday night. And I'm still saying, I'm not doing it. I don't know who you're going to get to do that in the morning, but it isn't going to be me. That's not mine. And I had a dream that night. And in my dream, Marcy came. And we walked on the beach because she loved the beach too. And this time her knees didn't bother her, so we ran on the beach. And the next thing you know, we're up in a tree. And I'm laughing and I'm crying and I'm telling her, oh, I miss her so much. And I wish she was here, and I'm kind of scared about dying. What happens when you die? And Marcy said to me in my little dream, when you die, you get to live in all the love that's ever been offered to you and all the love you've ever offered. Not what I received, not what they received, but what I offered. She said, you get to live in all that love. You have nothing to fear. And I think that was part of my kickoff into this time since Melissa and Dick died. How grateful I am to have loved and been loved. And the fact of the matter is, my friends, I can testify to this. Love never dies. Love never dies. I love them at least as much today as I did when they were here. And I can feel them. I put Melissa's pictures on a wall in the hall because this is my husband's house, so his picture's everywhere. It was not Melissa's house. So I had pictures of her made, and we put them on right outside the boys' room so they could see her. And they're called mixed tiles, and they have tape on the back, so you just stick them up on the wall, and if you get tired of them looking like that, you can mix them up, stick them another way. But there was one picture of her that was about 8th grade, and she gave me it's a picture of the look that she gave me from the time she was little until she died, and it was the attitude that went with it. So what are you going to do about it? And that's that picture looking at me going, it kept falling off the wall. I couldn't get it to stay on the wall. And I put more tape on the back, fall off again. There was plenty of other pictures in the same row, none of them fell off, just that one. My grandsons they have to believe that she's gone, that there's nothing left of her, that she's not present anymore. It's the only way they can deal with it, and that's all right. They're going to have to deal with it the best. We go to counseling. Everybody's doing what they can do. The older one was standing in the hall with me, and we were looking at that picture, and I said, yeah, that's my favorite picture. He said, it's my favorite picture, too. He said, I really like that. And I said, I don't know why it won't stay on the wall. And he said, I don't think Mom likes it. Score. All right, my darlings. Life is unpredictable, and we get to choose how we respond, which is not always an easy task. Yet in the end, it is the memories which are the treasures of our life, the reminders that love is always worth the risk. Thank you.